Hey y'all, it's Myria Com again. Take 3, because I have tried to record this a couple of times and kind of failed. But that's okay. Um, and because I don't want to talk about work too much, and I don't want to, sit here and be unable to find the right words, even though what I am talking about is kind of foreign to me. And what I want to talk about is, the grieving stuff a little bit more. The grieving stuff. Why do I do this? Anyway. um, so yeah, I'm kind of, I'm doing okay again today. In terms of that, anyway, I am super stressed about some work stuff, but like I said, I don't really want to talk about work too much. In terms of going through the grieving process, I still miss my cat. I still wish Javon was here. I would not have wanted him to stay. He was, in the condition he was in. If I could have magically waved a wand and made him better, then I would love for him to still be here. But he was not doing good. He was suffering. I made the right choice. I gotta keep saying that, and I don't know who I'm trying to convince, because I think other people probably get this. I think I'm trying to convince myself. There's always going to be that what if, because, it's a creature that cannot actually, I shouldn't say can't communicate, but, can't communicate in human speech, so there's always going to be a little bit of a what if in those cases. But I do believe that it was the right choice. I know in my heart of hearts that it was the right choice. That doesn't make it any easier. But I am doing generally okay. I miss him, but I don't feel like the same all-encompassing, blasé feeling. I'm struggling, part of why I'm redoing this recording is I am struggling to find the right way to describe what I was feeling when I was, in the thick of the grieving process. I mean, I'm not saying I'm done grieving and it's over and I'm 100% better now. That's not at all what I'm saying. But for the past, month and a half, where it was still pretty fresh, it was very hard, yeah. For that time, it has kind of felt like I'm gonna struggle in describing it again, even though I just did a recording where I was describing it and struggling, but getting there eventually. It sort of felt like this I already was kind of feeling like, oh, there's not a lot of point. There's not, the world is kind of terrible right now, and has been for pretty much my entire adult life, but, it's been, increasingly getting worse over the past few years. There's, it's hard to see a future where anything can be good or easy. Not even easy, but, manageable. It just feels like I'm going to be, my whole future is just going to be struggling, and my whole forever, it's just going to be constant struggle. There's not going to be any point where I feel like I can just, take a break and relax or whatever. I was already feeling all of that because the past several years have been kind of crappy, and this year just kind of feels like it's been, the worst year. And then my cat died, and that was just, the icing on top, and it was kind of worse, and I just don't even know how to handle it anymore. And that feeling of there's not much of a future, and there's not a whole lot of point to anything, just became, totally all-encompassing. It was already there before, and it was kind of like a background thing. And while I was really seriously grieving my cat, while it was fresh, and that was, all I could think about, it was an all-encompassing feeling. And I didn't realize that for the past, month and a half, that is what was happening. It was it was just like an all-encompassing thing of there is no point. I mean, the problem is it was more like there is no point for me. There might be a point for other people. So I still cared about, like, doing stuff, getting my work done to the best of the ability that I could at the time. But there was also a part of me that this was not a conscious thought at the time while this was all happening, but I had this, like, subconscious thing going on where I did not feel like I was at my best in terms of work, in terms of anything I was doing. And so subconsciously, I was also, like, thinking and feeling, not thinking because it was subconscious, but, like, I was also feeling like not only is there no point, but I am also unable to do what I need to do the way I should be able to do it. So, like, subconsciously, I, like, felt bad about myself, too. It wasn't just grieving my cat, and it wasn't just being lonely and missing him, and it wasn't just having this all-encompassing lack of hope. But it was also, like, the feeling that I was letting people around me down. And not just in terms of, like, doing poor work, but also, which I'm not doing poor work. And I wasn't doing poor work, it just felt like it because my brain wasn't working the way it normally does. I felt very forgetful, I felt like everything was just falling apart around me, and it really wasn't. Realistically, that was not happening, it just felt like it. And like, I know that people I work with and people I support and all of that, I don't think they noticed any difference. But I noticed a difference in the level of, like, the amount of work I was getting done on a daily basis and the quality of the stuff I was doing. And I'm still noticing some, like, lack of quality in some things, and it's still bumming me out, but I'm more okay with it right now, I guess. Maybe it's just that it's not as much. So, it's not bothering me as much. But, yeah. I just kind of, for the past, like, month and a half, have felt this all-encompassing hopelessness, this all-encompassing feeling that there's just no point for me, but I still want to do what I can for other people so that I don't let them down. Because I guess, like, my subconscious thought was if I let them down, then I really am worthless and there really is no point. And I'm laughing about it now because it sounds ridiculous and it feels ridiculous to say out loud. But, you know, when you're grieving, you're not thinking about whether it makes sense or not. So yeah, I still do not have a lot of hope for the future. I mean, there is obviously a part of me that does have hope, because if I didn't have hope, I would not be doing things like, for example, trying to refill my emergency fund, which I have still been struggling to try and refill. Pretty much all year. I feel like every time I make progress, then something happens, and I just go back down, and I feel like I consistently worry that I'm never gonna get it back to where I want it to be. But anyway, I wouldn't even have an emergency fund if I didn't have some kind of hope for the future. Like, realistically, clearly, I have some level of hope that there is a point to doing that, you know, yeah. If I didn't have that kind of hope and that kind of belief that things could get better, then I would just be, you know, spending money on things that I think will make me happy in the moment. If I didn't think there was a future worth having, that's what I would be doing, right? Right. So, I mean, that's how a lot of people live their lives, and that's kind of scary to me. I wouldn't want to live my life that way, but, so clearly I do have some level of hope for the future. I just don't have a lot of hope for the future. I think I live my life with the belief that it is best to plan for the worst, but hope for something better. I can't even say hope for the best, because I don't hope for the best. I don't think I. I don't have any belief that the best will ever happen, to be honest. But I do obviously think that there is some kind of future, or else I wouldn't be saving for one. um, but yeah. But I do always, like, and I shouldn't even say plan for the worst, because I don't even think of the worst most of the time. People mention things and I'm like, man, I never even thought of that. Wow. But I do, like, plan for a negative future, is what I do. But hope for something better than what I'm thinking is gonna happen. I am happy to be pleasantly surprised, is how I like to phrase it. I would rather expect something bad and then have that not happen and have something go, like, have things go better than I expected. Yeah. Anyway, so the point I am trying to make is that while I was grieving, while I was in the thick of grieving, while I was in, like, the hardest part, I would say, of grieving, I felt an all-encompassing hopelessness, and that's, like, the best word I can think of for it. It's not... It still doesn't feel totally correct, but it's the word I'm gonna use. I don't know that there is a good word in English for what the feeling I was feeling. Maybe in another language that I don't know, there's a better word for it, but I can't think of a better word in English. It was like an all-encompassing hopelessness, an all-encompassing... Ennui is maybe an okay word for it. I'm gonna just go with that. That's a pretty good word for it. Hooray, a word I thought of in another language. Haha! So that is what I was feeling for like a month and a half. And I do not feel that as much anymore. I feel kind of okay. I wouldn't say I'm happy. I wouldn't say I'm content even, but I feel kind of okay. I feel a little bit less like everything is just completely pointless. I feel like there is a point. Whatever that point is, I don't really know, but there's probably a point of some kind. And yeah, it feels a little better. It doesn't feel so crushingly, oh my god, why? So, yeah. But work is still incredibly stressful, and it finds new ways to get stressful all the time, which is very annoying. But I guess at least now I can feel that stress instead of feeling ennui. Or something. I'm sure that's not terribly, horribly depressing. Yeah. I feel like I spent a lot of time trying to explain something that shouldn't be as hard to explain as I made it. But, as I have mentioned, this is my first time really going through this kind of grieving process, so... hurrah. I do not know if I would have survived this whole grieving process without having YouTube to talk at. Because I don't really have a lot of, like, people in my life that I have talked about it with, or even just talked to about it. So, like, in my quote-unquote real life, I haven't really talked about it a whole lot. And, yeah, I don't know if I would have survived it at least not like I have, without just vocalizing it, I guess. So, thank you for being there. Regardless of whether you watched all of these recordings, or just one of them, or just part of one, that's great. I appreciate it. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about in the comments, or you want me to talk about, is what I should say. Bleh. This has been my Riacom, and I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye!